from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. We already got my man tripping right now. I don't understand why, but let's get right into it, y'all. We got our man Indie super producer out there in Nashville, Tennessee, rocking the ones and twos. That's Vaden Podcast Services. Vaden Podcast Services. Him and his wonderful fiance bring this show to life. Gotta say, huge shout out to all the homies in the live chat here on Sunday evening. You know I'm here on Little Lake Stevens, but my main man, he messes around and gets a triple-double. Y'all know he's thrilled. He's pumped. RG, talk to me, big dog.
Man, I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I had to grind like that, to shine like this. It is dream and nightmare season up in Philadelphia, which already means you know what it is. It's Super Bowl bound, baby. It's time to go to work.
Ooh, baby, heading down to the French Quarter. We're going to have a rematch of one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in recent memory. Your team absolutely demolished a divisional rival who super producer Indy said made the wise guys a ton of money because lots of best were placed on Washington. But man, your favorite team absolutely left no questions. Tell me what you think, man.
What I think is that Jalen Daniels has completely earned the right to have all the hype that the rest of the quarterbacks in that second tier all have. He's earned the right to have the hype that we give Lamar. He's earned the right to have the hype that we give Burrow. He's earned the right to have the hype that they even give someone like Tua. He's that dude is just calm under pressure. No matter what he does, there's no frustrating him. He may not have made enough plays to keep up with us, but just watching that dude, the moment's never too big for him, just the pieces around him may not fit. Now that I've been given my flowers, let's go on ahead and get to the shit talking. Saquon Barkley should absolutely be the MVP of the National Football League. I don't give a damn what you say. You've seen it. You've seen it. Lamar has great numbers and does great things. Allen is always here. They change rules for Allen. They try to put Allen in all these spots to make you think that he's next in line. The National Football League MVP up and down is absolutely Saquon Barkley. You knew what was coming first play of the game, and they couldn't do nothing to stop it. You know what it is with that boy. Stop playing with him. I get that the MVP has become a quarterback award, but damn it, you can't tell me that Saquon Barkley hasn't been as valuable to a team that's actually going to the Super Bowl as a team who went out in the divisional round, who had who had 5 losses on the season, and a team that when it's all said and done can't do anything to get through their conference past Patrick Mahomes. J.J. Watt said it best on the broadcast. Some guys are stuck in the Jordan era. Some guys got stuck in the era where the Yankees were dominating. Some guys got stuck in the Tiger Woods era. Josh Allen is absolutely stuck in the Pat Mahomes era. Saquon Barkley deserves to be the MVP of the National Football League. I know voting is already over, but I said what I said.
So the results of the award haven't come out yet, correct?
No, the results of the award haven't come out yet, but they don't vote for
Okay.
it during the playoffs. It's
Gotcha.
as soon as the last regular season game is over, that's when they turn it all in. But
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Then
so
they
it
just hold it to make the award
yeah,
show
they
and all
just
that
hold it so
shit.
they have something to
Okay.
have on TV the Thursday before the Super Bowl to give us a little taste.
Okay. Well, man, I mean, it's really hard to argue right now. And I just want to look back at Adrian Peterson for 2,000 yards, the two guys that had done it recently on a very mediocre team, couldn't uplift them. Chris Johnson did it for Tennessee on a very mediocre team, couldn't uplift him. But you said it, man. The MVP is what player brings his team to a different level. And to me, the MVP could honestly be for a 9-8 team. That wouldn't bug me if that said player lifted his team from the shit all the way up like a Jaden Daniels type of season. But I mean, you got a running back who literally is running his team into the Super Bowl. It's freaking fantastic. And you said it. What a way to start the game, though. Man, 60-yard run to the house. How impressive was that? Three touchdowns, 7.9 average in the championship game against a divisional rival who everyone knows their tendencies. So it's all about who can execute at that point. Couldn't be more impressed with the dude. And seriously, you must be flying high. Obviously, if you're a fan of a team that has lost Super Bowls, like the Eagles have and you, like the Seahawks have with me, you have a little bit more of a chip on your shoulder winning these championship games. Like, we've been let down at the mountaintop before, but man, I'm so jealous of you right now.
Shit, I've suffered through 8 of these things with the Eagles since 2020. I mean, since 2000. I've suffered through 8 of them, and we just now got to a 500 record in championship games. Nothing was more painful than watching us lose 3 straight. Nothing was more painful than that. Then we finally get one, get over the hump, and McNabb's it up and overthrowing receivers, throwing up in the huddles. I'm still surprised we were able to turn that into a 3-score game. But yeah, man, I've had my ups and downs with them. I ain't one of these new dudes around the block. I was here when McNabb threw that pick at the end of the game to Rondé Barber to go 6 and cost us. I was there when Jake Delhomme came in and just showed us what was up. I was even there when we made it back to another one and lost to Kurt Warner in Arizona. So just the fact that the last 3 that we've been to have come out in our direction, I'm happy about. But the job's not done. The job's not just to get to the NFC Championship and win it. The job's to go down to New Orleans, and thanks to the result of the night game, we got us a rematch, baby.
Let's go. Let's go. And I know that the teams are very different because there's so much player turnover year to year. But the Eagles know that they have nothing to be afraid about Kansas City about. There's not going to be any intimidation factor, in my opinion. We both talk about it, bro. The Eagles are literally a drop football from beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. One drop football and they win the Super Bowl. So it's that tight. And I just want to dive into it a little bit because we always talk about what are really the critical stats. And it's not fantasy football, even though your boy is a champ this year. But I know. Hey, a broken clock's once is right. What, once or twice a day? But Eagles, they were better on third down. They had 159 more total yards. They had 2.5 more yards per play. But the absolute killer, bro, 229 to 99 on the ground and 7 for 7 in red zone efficiency, 4 less penalties and 4 plus 4 on the turnover ratio. Absolutely kicking ass in every single way, including the details and the discipline. The Eagles just deserve so much props for their performance in a crucial moment because it's easy to get tight, and we've seen amazing athletes struggle in these lights. So big time Eagles win.
And we left meat on the bone. And we left meat on the
Oh yeah.
bone. Our kicker is atrocious. That should have been extra points there. And for the love of God, to me, I don't understand why you just can't kick the simple extra point and just take the points. I get what they might have been thinking, but just take the points while you have them available to them because you look like more of an idiot when you go for 2 and don't get it than just taking the available points that are on the board. Sunday Evening Media tells me to bring some of that Eagles luck into the Mariners season. I can't, man. Those two things ain't the same. Those two things ain't the same. If the Mariners want some of this Eagle luck, they need to get rid of their ownership in their front office, and we could talk about that coming up too. Um, Tyson Baxter asked, "Who impressed you the most in today's win?" The defense. The defense absolutely is the one that impressed me the most in today's win. Causing turnovers, not playing out of position, not giving up a single pass of over 20 yards, did everything that they could to keep the explosive from happening, which is what got Detroit caught up in their game. Jalen Carter is on his way to being one of the best ever. Jordan Davis. Matter of fact, all those Georgia Bulldogs who we drafted. It was funny had we'd have had this podcast 3 years ago when we were all heavy on Bleacher. I was screaming, we need to do whatever we got to do to draft the entire Georgia defense, and we damn near did. and those guys and those guys have paid huge dividends for us. The defense is the thing that impressed me the most. And I'm happy with AJ too. To have AJ probably had the quietest 96-yard touchdown and a touchdown game in NFC Championship history. But that's the thing about these, the wide receiver position. It can be kind of diva-ish. And yes, he had his statement, but since he's had his statement, he's just gone out and has done what he's supposed to do. Has just gone out and played ball, and has kept his mouth shut. Has read his book, and has just gone out and done the damn thing. So I'm really impressed with what the Eagles were able to do this year. But we do got one more, and I'm a wrestling fan, and I've been saying it for weeks now. If it was going to come down to this, the words of Ric Flair: "To be the man, you got to beat the man." And for us to get that Lombardi, we got to go out and beat Patty Mahomes.
Amen. Amen. I just want to look at the playoff run in totality for your Eagles, dude. They're plus 465 in rushing yards and plus 10 in turnover margin. They are doing everything right in terms of trying to win a tough ball game against a tough opponent. And I want to give Nick Sirianni a little bit of flowers here because he's been trashed on by everybody that follows football.
Including
All
me.
he's done is now made it, including me. And, they've gone to two Super Bowls now. And I think some of his criticism was warranted. It's not like we're all just talking shit because we're having too many beers and tequila one night. I feel it's kind of warranted, but we got to give him some props, man. They got rid of the coaches that clearly weren't getting the job done. They brought in the right guys. His team is ready to play, and in a bottom line business, all that matters is if you're winning or not. I also want to give a little shout out, bro, because we talked about him right after the NFL draft. But Will Shipley out of Clemson, the mid round running back, I loved him as a draft pick. And that's because when you're in the mid to late rounds, can I just find somebody that can contribute to a championship quality team? That's exactly what he did. Not just the big runs, but also a couple of big returns and, of course, forcing a fumble in kickoff coverage, crucial plays. And then another note that made me so happy, it made my heart so warm, bro. Saquon Barkley sticking his nose in there on a pass protection, putting Bobby frickin' Wagner on his ass like a badass, and then also on the design QB run to get Jalen Hurts the touchdown run. Beautiful lead blocking. So if you got an MVP quality running back willing to do the dirty work the way an old school fullback would, you got a team that's rolling in the right direction. But you're right, man. All they got to do is beat the preeminent team of this era. It is going to be a fantastic Super Bowl. I can't wait for these 2 weeks, dude.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It absolutely is going to be fun, man. Just Will Shipley, shout out to him. Had he had just a little bit more endurance, he would have had one of them long ass touchdown runs. But I like how he looked up at the board and was like, "Okay, they're near me. I'm going to do what's smart, protect the ball, and then we still fan the rock." And the first person to run off the sideline to go get him and celebrate with him was Saquon, man. Such a beautiful thing just to see the camaraderie that we have. Going back to Sirianni, oh, hold on, Texas Power Ranger, win the turnover ratio, and you are in a position to win every time. Absolutely right. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Do not shoot yourself in the foot. And us shooting ourselves in the foot is what cost us the Super Bowl. The last time we met up against the Chiefs, you got to play mistake free football, and you have to beat them with touchdowns, not field goals. Because they are coming out to come down the field every time. And if you leave the door open, whether you're sick of the dude or not, Patty's a winner, man. Can't do what he's done and say anything other than him. I there's a bunch of guys who would like to have multiple Super Bowls and winning records in the big games and things like that. Patty Mahomes is a winner, man. Whether you're sick of him or not, the only way to really knock him off the block is to come out here and beat him soundly. Take the game away from the refs Take the game away from anything crazy. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and just play good, sound, solid football. And I think we have the team this time that's built to be able to do that. Um, Mr. CB and go Eagles, man, man. Appreciate you, man. And let's have a whole lot of fun. The rent is due one more time. Shout out to my cousin Paul checking in on the live with us tonight. One more time, man. The rent is due. Absolutely. Absolutely. Such a fantastic day to be a Philadelphia Eagle fan. And let's go out and go do it. The most points ever scored in a championship game.
Wow.
And only one passing touchdown. And what was the quote
Gotta
that
love it.
Saquon had earlier? We were set out to prove a point that you can still run the ball down someone's throat and get to the Super Bowl. And if you need more evidence than that, may I present to you the 2024 Eagles.
Hmm. Everything in life is cyclical, man. Young men are wearing short shorts again. The running game is coming back. I mean, next thing we know, they might be getting out tape cassettes. We might be seeing disco balls. Nah, but you know what I'm saying though. In sports, just like fashion, man, everything comes back into style. The defenses have gone to so much smaller players that are much quicker to defend the pass. They're playing deep zone coverages. It has just opened up for a team like the Eagles who always put a bunch of resources into their both their lines. It is time for a team like that to really grab a hold. Now, like you said, I mean, the Chiefs don't mess around either. They got two all pros on their offensive line. They're nobody to sneeze at either. But there's absolutely a trend that the running game matters again. I always thought it did just because the pass rushers are so good. So if the league becomes very pass happy, you got to slow down these pass rushers some way. And shout out to your pass rushers. I like seeing a quarterback in duress, and this was the first time I think we really seen someone put the pressure on Jaden Daniels. And you get after any quarterback long enough, they're gonna get him.
Absolutely. We're able to get to him with four, not fall two back behind him so that way those open up those lanes for him. And those big dudes are very, very athletic that we have on our defensive line as well too. Again, I know I make light of the situation just because I think the dude gets a fair shake. And if we're gonna put responsibility on everybody, we have to put on everybody. But God bless all of you who were too afraid to take Jalen Carter in the draft. Absolutely. God bless all of you. I also want to give a big shout out to Joe Shane and the Giants front office. Thank you for being idiots. Um, Mariners lifer, the Eagles defensive line, offensive line are as important or more important than Saquon. They're all just as equally as important. Saquon doesn't get to 2,000 yards without having arguably the best offensive line that the Eagles have had. And for us, we built our bread and butter on our offensive line over the last few seasons under Howie Roseman's regime, and just we got him, man. We got beast up there everywhere you go. Lane Johnson could be a bona fide Hall of Famer, and to me, the game is even a little bit different if Cam Jurgens is in, and we don't have a backup playing in the guard position that Landon Dickerson is in, having to play center because of Jurgens being out. Um, see, Mr. Bean says, what do you think the main factor has to be aside from Saquon? It's the way that this team is built. How we went out with the mission for us to get better at what we needed to get better at, and he has done a superstar job of what Jerry DePoto tries to do. And Zach Braun, from you not knowing that guy's name a year ago, is up for Defensive Player of the Year. For us to go out and get a cornerback from the MAC of all places with Quinion Mitchell and have him out there playing as well as he has played, sans the shoulder injury last week. And another unsung hero, man. They talk shit about it that you can't have these guys in your secondary and win. We win with a white cornerback and a white safety, baby. It's the way that this team is built. It's just built for it to be successful. And from where we were at last year, this is nothing but a victory. Do we want to cross the finish line and bring home the Lombardi? Absolutely. Would it be a sad lost season if it doesn't happen? No, because this team is actually built to be able to move forward and compete. And with the way that we compete, we got a 2 3 year window to be able to get across the finish line. And I couldn't be more happier of the whole team set up from top to bottom.
Dude, well said, well said. The Eagles are just a great example for other teams to look at though too, because there's so many times in this league, RG, we see it all the time where teams hold on to players for way longer than they should because of their draft status, because of their contract. But the Eagles didn't give a shit about this, and I know Howie has gotten trashed a lot for this, kind of deservedly so. But they took Jalen Rager instead of Justin Jefferson. They took Arcega Whiteside instead of DK Metcalf. But you know what they did? Like most teams in this league, oh, he's a first round pick. Oh, he's a second round pick. We're gonna hold on to him for 5 years and pray that he pops. We made a mistake. We're going to course correct. These guys are out. We're going to trade for an A.J. Brown. We'll spend another first round pick on a Devontae Smith. But my point is, don't just hold on to sunken costs, man. Let it go. Pivot quickly. I want to see a reverse pivot like Michael Jordan, man. And that's what the Eagles have been able to do. And I'm just so impressed with how they built their team. They also were always planning for the future. They had a replacement for Fletcher Cox. They had a replacement for Jason Kelsey. Where many franchises in this league also, when they have a Hall of Fame quality player retire, they have no answer. The Eagle had the answer for a couple years ready in case those men decided to move on.
Again, so the shout out goes to Howie Roseman for being able to see that and build a team like that and have an idea of how you said we were going to pivot when it was time to go left and pivot when it was time to go right, and are in a good position moving forward to be able to be able to compete in what it takes to have a high quality team in the National Football League.
Well, on Tyson Baxter's comment, I couldn't agree more that the Eagles line has made a lot of running backs look good, but Saquon is a true difference maker because a lot of these runs, they might excellent blocking. They're blocking it for between 4, 10, 15, 20 yards, but it takes that special back to break him 60 plus in the NFL. I mean, we have fantastic, fast as hell running backs in this league that can't rip it off all the way like Saquon can. Like you referenced, I'm sure all of the homies on the team were talking Will Shipley for getting caught at the very end. But it's really cool to see to me. I'm a throwback man. I don't like 3 yards in a cloud of dust necessarily, but I love a good running game and what it can do for a team. Your defense, your play action, everything in the game becomes easier if you can run the ball. So hats off to the Eagles, and it's going to be really cool to see. I just want to, you're right though. Washington Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins, they deserve a lot of credit as well for what they've done. Second worst team in the league last year, made it to the NFC Conference Championship game. And you're going to love this, RG. The reports are that Daniel Snyder is sad, withdrawn, confused, in denial. Well, guess what, Danny? You were leading a shitty franchise, and all it took was a quality owner to completely flip the script. But Eagles are moving on to New Orleans, bro.
That's his Power Rangers. Dan Quinn, Coach of the Year, has to be highly considered. You got to keep him in consideration for it. Like we said, to take a team from what were they 2-15 last year, just
Oh, boy.
just god awful last year to the NFC Championship game. Hats off to him, his staff, and what they were able to do with the Washington team, and they are going to be a problem in the NFC East moving forward. Let's shift our attention to the AFC Championship game where we got what everybody wanted to see. Josh Allen get another crack at trying to tear down the dynasty by himself. And once again, it's the same result, just a little bit short, but this time fell short by a field goals difference in regulation this time. Well, now we had an interesting conversation off mic, so I'm gonna let you start with what you saw in the game and how you feel about both teams.
Well, for starters, both are damn good football teams. Clearly, Buffalo cannot get over the hump right now. I thought it was a really well played game by both teams, frankly. There was only one turnover. The running game was pretty on point for both teams. clearly Patrick Mahomes made the big plays when it mattered the most. I just have one criticism for Buffalo though. They're just stealing the Eagles swag on that tush push, and they've been running the same play 30 times like a first grader playing Madden. I don't get that play calling at all. The Chiefs they didn't even just know the play was coming. They knew exactly which gap behind the left guard that Josh Allen was going to try to run through. So I thought that was pretty pathetic play calling, frankly. But other than that, I couldn't really say anything negative about either of the teams today because I just thought it was such a well played football game. And when two teams are really good and they're both playing damn good football at the same moment, all that matters is who comes up big. And Patty Mahomes, man, he just has the knack for making the big play when it's needed. And I there's nothing anyone can say to me about refs or anything like this. Chiefs got the job done yet again.
I think so as well too. I thought it was a really good played football game. I thought that I personally was just waiting for that moment. Call me a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist or not. I was waiting for the obvious moments where the zebras were going to be told in their headset to make certain calls to give certain an advantage, but we didn't see a whole lot of that today. Even in the misplacement of the first down that I thought it was clear that Allen got. The Chiefs fell victim to that as well too, where they had thought they had a first down, the ball was placed just a little bit short. Um, it's when Josh Allen gets forced to go into daredevil mode that I think the difference happens to come across in when you're forcing him to have to do too much. And as good as they are, I don't think the talent around him is as good as it once was. Um, from me looking at it from the outside, looking in, I would rather have Stephon and Gabe Davis than the collection of what they have now, minus at having James Cook. Um, but again, I just think he's just stuck in the wrong era, man. It's just not his time. And when we get to where the end of the Patty reign is over, the AFC could be really interesting because they do have three young bull quarterbacks that aren't going anywhere. Um, but right now, just greatness is as greatness is. I'm seeing something here that I got to look into a little bit. Um, that McDermott in some of his post game comments is indirectly blaming Josh Allen for this loss. So that ought to be really interesting to see how that plays out moving forward. But I had said if the Eagles were going to make the Super Bowl, I wanted us to play the Chiefs. I need us to be able to get that loss back and get that monkey off our back, and now we're going to have the chance to be able to do that. If you were tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes, then you need to build a team that's able to beat him, and you have to be able to beat him, not just get close and complain about how close we were. I'm not a big Derek Jeter Yankee fan, but listening to Jeter talk about when you listen to the Red Sox whine about everything prior to 2004, that's just a loser mentality. You just weren't good enough to be able to get it done, and that's where I sit with the stranglehold that Patrick Mahomes has over the AFC and the NFL right now.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, man. I just want to also look at the Bills right now, and I just noticed James Cook only had 13 carries, but for 85 yards and two touchdowns. What are you doing, Bills? You got to get this dude the rock. The whole reason I thought the Bills could finally beat the Chiefs is it looked like they weren't going to just say, "Hey, Josh Allen, try to win us a ball game." It looked like they actually had a complete team for once, and clearly that didn't come through. We need James Cook to me is a clear cut star at running back. Get him the damn rock. Even Kareem Hunt had more carries than James Cook. And then let's go back to draft night, RG. The Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs made a trade, and Xavier Worthy comes back to bite them in the ass. About 100 total yards and a touchdown. Oh boy, this is why you don't trade with your rival, I guess. But This is how it goes, and I was completely wrong last week when I compared Josh Allen to Patrick Ewing. He is definitely looking more like Reggie Miller.
Abruptly hate to end it this way, but the internet issues that we're having are making it also hard for us to put on a professional program, for us to be able to communicate with each other, and more importantly, for us to be able to communicate with you. So I don't even know if my co-host can hear me right now, but coming live to you from Little Lake Stevens, that's our man Ty Talks 24. Big shout out to the folks at Vaden Podcast Service who do what they do to bring us live to you each and every week. Hopefully next week Discord gets their act together and we could put on a professional show for you. The recording of this episode will be made available to you where you like to get your favorite podcast from, whether you like to get it from Apple Music or Spotify or any other format. It'll be available to you Monday night or Tuesday morning, just depending on what format that you do use. Don't forget to follow us on our socials at My Oh My ASP. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Snapchat for all upcoming sports information and to get a daily dose of your two favorite podcast hosts. Again, that's your man Ty Talks 24. I'm your boy RG checking in from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Big shout out to Vaden Podcast and our super producer Indy coming to you live from Nashville, Tennessee, as well as a big shout out to our social media director, Miss Katie Masamato. I'm that dude RG signing off once again for My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.